Hey mamas, welcome to another guest speaker session. Today I'm joined by the lovely midwife and Hypnobirthing Australia practitioner, Jemma Vyas, and we are going to chat all about hypnobirthing. So, what is hypnobirthing? What exactly is the role of hypnosis in childbirth? What is mind-body connection and its importance, whether you're going for a normal or a C-section birth? And also, what is Jemma's top labor tip and why? And we're going to chat to Emma about how can we attend her hypnobirthing sessions and get more knowledge from her. So I'm so excited for this session. And welcome, Jemma. Thank you for joining us.
No worries. Thank you for having me.
Would you like to introduce yourself to our listeners?
Thank you, Regini. So, hello, everyone. My name is Jemma. I am a registered midwife and a hypnobirthing practitioner, childbirth educator. I have been a midwife now for about 14 years, and I trained and practiced in the UK. Did a stint of practice when I qualified over there for about 18 months, mainly doing home births, water births, which was fantastic. Yeah. And then I moved over to Australia in 2009, 2010. And I worked in the private sector at Epworth Freemasons for 2 years. And then I moved on to the Mercy Hospital for Women in Heidelberg, which is a very large tertiary hospital, and I've been practicing there for around about 11 years now. The reason why I chose to become a hypnobirthing practitioner, childbirth educator, was because particularly in the antenatal period, mothers were coming up to me absolutely fearful of giving birth. You know, Jemma, I don't want to do this. I want to skip the whole thing and book me in for the cesarean section, or how do I schedule in my epidural? And this was prior to me having my children, and I was thinking, where are we going so wrong in society that so many mothers are fearing giving birth? And I believe that knowledge is power, and I feel like I really am doing my part by being a Hypnobirthing Australia practitioner. And the stories that I get is fantastic. But also, as well, being a mother of two, I've also utilised these hypnobirthing tools and techniques when birthing my two children as well. So I know what I'm teaching does actually work as well.
Wow, that's wonderful, Jemma. Thank you for that introduction. So let's get into today's discussion, which is Hypnobirthing Basics. And let's start by understanding what is hypnobirthing.
A lot of people get a bit put off about this word hypnobirthing. And do you know what I say to people? It's a word that means it's a positive birthing. Hypnobirthing is a fancy word for a positive birth. If you have a normal birth, an instrumental birth, a cesarean section, these tools and techniques can be applied for all type of birth. And I believe that all birth is birth. Midwife, the meaning is with women. As midwives, we support women in their choices and in all types of birth that may unfold for them. So it really is just a fancy word for a positive birth experience. And I have a lot of clients come to me who are working towards a vaginal birth after cesarean section, for example. And even with inductions, like you can apply the tools and techniques even if you're being induced. So that's what it's all about. It's just a fancy word for having a positive birth experience. And it's a very comprehensive course. It's very inclusive as well, adaptable, and it's evidence-based. So it is based on evidence.
That's interesting. So, Jemma, can you tell us the importance of mind and body connection? I believe you talk about it a lot in your sessions. So can you tell our listeners about it?
A lot of midwives say tight mind, tight cervix, open mind, open cervix. So if we can allow our body to remain loose and limp, be nice and relaxed, welcome each, we call them surges in hypnobirthing. So welcome each surge rather than fighting and resisting. It's going to be a lot easier to get through them. Okay, rather than tensing up our body and fighting it, we're going to work with it. And these tools and techniques help you to relax. We talk about the physiology of childbirth, like what's happening when we're having our surges. Well, it's these muscles, these uterine muscles working in harmony together to bring your baby earth side. So it's literally your uterus having a really big workout.
Yeah.
I always say to my clients that you can do anything for 60 seconds. That's the average length of a surge. And every surge that you have is bringing you one step closer to you meeting your baby. And these surges cannot beat you because they are you. So it's about creating that positive birthing belief system. But this has to start during pregnancy. It takes time to practice these tools and techniques. You know, practice makes perfect, as my mother always says.
Wow. I really love you just like said some really wonderful points there, that these tools and techniques are to be practiced throughout pregnancy. So just, you know, you can't do it on one day and it's set and forget mode.
That's it. You know, there's only so much that I can do. I mean, I can teach you the full program, but it's then up to you to go home, but practice these tools and techniques, but practice with your support person. The support person is central to the Hypnobirthing Australia program. By working together, at the end of the day, you guys are going to be working as a team. And you need to know, your support person needs to know what these tools and techniques are, so that on the day, if a particular tool isn't working, you can delve into your Hypnobirthing Australia toolbox and they can help you to apply the next one. And that practicing, you know, labor is an endurance event. You wouldn't expect an athlete, I don't know, we've got this World Cup happening at the moment, haven't we? And I don't think the English, well, I don't know if we can talk about the cricket, Ragini, because England beat India in the cricket and we got the World Cup. But anyway, any kind of sporting athlete, they are practicing. They're not just practicing in terms of their skills. They're practicing that mind-body connection, that they can do this, that they are going to do this, and embedding that belief system, really psyching themselves up. And that's what we do with our hypnobirthing as well.
That's wonderful. So also, Jemma, I would love to know, you did mention that mind and body, so open mind, open cervix. So if we talk about normal labor and normal birth, that's applicable. How does this concept apply to a cesarean section birth?
It's going to be a more positive experience. If you enter an operating theatre with fear, with dread, with not knowing, not having any knowledge behind you, you're going to go into panic mode. You're going to trigger that sympathetic nervous response. So all these tools and techniques, the light touch massage, the anchor touch, your breathing techniques, your visualizations, listening to relaxation music, diffusing aromatherapy, thinking about the lighting, having your support person there in theatre as well, applying these tools, helping you with these tools. It's going to help you to remain calm and relaxed. So it's going to be a more positive experience. And, you know, you look at our postnatal depression rates in Australia, it's something like 1 in 6 mothers, it may even be higher than this, have postnatal depression. 1 in 8 support people, dads, wives, girlfriends, boyfriends, have postnatal depression as well. And I do believe that having a positive birth experience, no matter which way baby is born, normal, Caesar, instrumental, it's giving you a great landing mat. But then transitioning into the postnatal period, it's going to help with breastfeeding rates. It's going to help reduce perinatal anxiety and depression. And it's going to help with bonding between, you know, you and your support person and baby.
Yeah, absolutely. I strongly believe in that, because I've had friends who were going for a cesarean section, and just chatting to them maybe a day or two before their surgery, they were telling me that they are feeling so anxious and whether it was the right decision and things, like so many thoughts going on. So not feeling calm as, you know, you would expect, like it's a planned thing versus a labor, which people think that it can, we don't know how many days it's going to go for. It's a little unpredictable.
Yeah.
But I know they were quite anxious, and which is quite normal. It's a big event.
Absolutely. Most mothers, young, healthy, they've probably never set foot in a hospital before, let alone an operating theatre.
Exactly.
So you do have that anxiety maybe around that. But my clients who do end up with, in particular, an emergency cesarean section, they're my biggest advocates for the course. They message me saying, thank you so much. We knew how to navigate the system. This course helps you to know how to make informed decisions. We give you tools in how to word questions to your obstetricians and midwives, so you can retrieve that evidence-based information, so that then you can go home, look it up, read about it, and think, well, is this the best decision for me? This is when it's not a medical emergency. This is when it's a routine investigation or procedure that we're talking about. You know, they were able to remain calm and relaxed when things were happening quickly, when they had to get into theatre, and they just thank me so. Like, the reviews that I have, the messages that I receive, like, I get my own oxytocin endorphin rush every time
I can totally imagine that. It must be feeling so good to make that kind of an impact, Jemma. I can completely relate to it. Okay, so going on to our next topic, can you tell us, what is this hypnosis and the power of hypnosis? And many people think hypnobirthing, hypnosis. Tell us, let's bust the myth. What is hypnosis?
First of all, like I said before, I'm not going to make you cluck around like a chicken. People think that I'm going to hypnotize you, and I'm not. All hypnosis is self-hypnosis, and it's a normal state of mind. In fact, you go through self-hypnosis many times a day. Regini, have you ever read a book and you think, you know, you've been so engrossed in that book, and your partner's, you know, trying to get your attention, or you've just been able to block everything out that's going on around you? That's a form of self-hypnosis. It's literally where you're focusing on one thing and you're blocking out all of the outside noise. A little bit like meditation. So if you don't like the word self-hypnosis, call it meditation or deep relaxation. We talk about that in hypnobirthing. If you don't like the word, change it so that it feels good for you. You don't like that negative connotation, change it. So it's all about that. It relates into that mind-body connection, but the self-hypnosis part is a way of conditioning yourselves to release endorphins to a Hypnobirthing Australia tool or thought. Endorphins are really important because they're nature's natural pain reliever, and they are 20 to 40 times more powerful than morphine. So we do everything and anything in our power to release these endorphins during our labor and birth. That's why when mothers are in labor, in good active labor, eyes are closed and they look like they're off in labor land, they're the endorphins. That's why day 3, day 4, maybe even day 5, we have baby blues postpartum, because those endorphins have come all the way back down again. So the hormones are going everywhere, but during labor and birth, we're wanting to condition ourselves to release these in copious amounts to help us. But it's also a way, this self-hypnosis, we do actually do some group hypnotherapy in Unit 4, and it's a way for us to release any fears or reservations that we may have leading up to the birth of our baby. And these fears can be the pain of childbirth, or not having my preferences honoured by my midwives or obstetricians, or it could be, oh my goodness, are we going to be able to finish off this kitchen renovation before baby arrives? And we've got to unpack all of this, because if we can't get rid of these fears and reservations, it's going to be a lot harder for your mind to go into labour. It's your mind's not going to be able to switch off, and you won't go into spontaneous labour. I was actually going to ask that as my next question. How does hypnosis help with dealing with the fears of childbirth? So
Oh.
So yeah, so it's all about creating and maintaining a positive birth belief system. So my clients get amazing resources and downloads. So they get, for example, 2 self-hypnosis tracks, and they listen to this when they go to sleep at night. And it's all about positive messages going to their subconscious mindset. So getting rid of all of that negative stuff about birth that you've been fed, that you've been conditioned to believe from a very early age. You know, where do you think, I'm going to ask you a question now, Regina, if that's okay.
Yeah, that's okay.
Where do you think fear comes from with childbirth?
I think more from the not knowing in which direction, the unpredictability of it, how things are going to turn, how good or bad is it going to be. So I think the unknown factor
absolutely
just brings the fear.
And also what we see on the TV. You know, one born every minute. You're not going to see the quiet Hypnobirthing Australia couple who, you know, have made this beautiful romantic environment and she pushes out her baby. You're going to be showing the drama and the codes and all the everyone rushing in, because that's what draws the viewers in. So we see it from a very early age that, you know, childbirth is a drama. And I'll tell you something, I wouldn't be a midwife for 14 years if it was like that every single day. I wouldn't. I would have retired early.
That's wonderful, Jemma. So now, would you like to tell us what exactly are covered in these hypnobirthing sessions, and why is this knowledge important? Like, whatever is covered, what's the importance, and how does it prepare someone going into labor?
So our 4 key pillars of the program, our recipe for a positive birth experience, is knowledge, preparation, support, and tools. So they're our 4 key pillars. The day is, or the program is split into 2 full days. So it's actually 12 hours of tuition from myself over 2 full days. And day 1, we go over unit 1, which is all about creating and maintaining a positive mindset for birth. So we're really talking about, like, what is self-hypnosis? What happens to your body when you become sympathetically driven, you know, that fight, flight, freeze, appease response? How does that affect our uterine muscles? How can that slow labor down? How can that make labor more painful? We talk about how we can create that positive birthing belief system, values. We talk about the history of birth, which is fascinating because we're all a part of it, the history of birth. So we talk about how fear has crept in through our history, throughout time. We talk about our birthing environment, so how we can, and this is a big role for the support person. They get so much out of this course on how to create, but also to maintain that calm, quiet, supportive, romantic environment. We talk about the brain, how you're wired for birth, and how it can be distracted and how that can slow down labor. We talk about the hormones of birth. So that's just unit 1. That's just setting the scene about, you know, what hypnobirthing is all about and those other things. After lunch, we get a little bit more hands-on. So it's not just me just talking to my clients. We actually stand up, we move around, we practice our toolkit is about our breathing techniques, our visualizations, doing some instant relaxation techniques, acupressure point, light touch massage, active birth skills. There's so much.
That's
so much.
Really good value, I would say, like really touching upon everything that you need to know to be prepared on that day.
Absolutely.
That's wonderful.
Absolutely. And then day 2 is so they have some time in between just to you know, because there's a lot of information that we're giving to really digest that information. And then when they come back for day 2, unit 3, that's all about preparation and choices for empowered birthing. So this is a lot about your birth preferences, how to write birth preferences, how to navigate the system, what questions to ask to your care providers, what what routine investigations and procedures may be offered to you, how to get good, credible, instead of going on mummy blogs and Dr. Google, where do I get credible evidence-based research from? We do, and they're watching birth videos as well. So during this course, they're watching 6 up-to-date birth videos. And Hypnobirthing Australia is Aussie. So they're watching Australian birth videos rather than birth videos that have been set in the UK or America. They're Australian mums in this healthcare system. And then Unit 4 is birth. That's bringing it all together. And I think that's why my clients like that I'm a midwife teaching this, because I can really, I know what I'm talking about. And we're talking about things like, when do we call the hospital? If they've chosen a hospital birth? When do we call our midwives if we're having a home birth? What happens if our water's released? What happens when we first get there? What are the observations like? Vaginal examinations, choices in how to birth the placenta, delayed cord clamping, initiating breastfeeding, and then we do a birth rehearsal right at the end. And I've only given you a small snippet in all of those units of what we actually do cover.
That looks amazing. Does it also touch upon a little bit after birth? Jemma, no.
So we talk a little bit, but I actually advise to my clients that these are your childbirth courses. Big tick there. You don't need to do anything else. If you want to do a hospital course, you can, but sometimes I actually find that confuses clients a little bit more, because hospital classes are more geared towards the policy and protocol of the hospital and looking at interventions. And if you're wanting to stay away from that, it's up to you. It's your choice at the end of the day. But sometimes it does confuse people. But if you want to do a postnatal course, I highly recommend doing that, or at least doing, if you've chosen to breastfeed, that's your likely method, then to do a breastfeeding course at least.
A breastfeeding. Okay. So you suggest doing a childbirth course combined with a breastfeeding.
So
antenatal. I'm sure.
Do you childbirth education? Like Hypnobirthing Australia is your childbirth education class, but then add on a small postnatal course as well.
Okay, cool. I was actually going to ask you, how does this Hypnobirthing Australia childbirth course differs from other courses like antenatal classes in the hospital, and say we have heard about calm birthing? So would you know what's the difference between?
So like I said at the start, the Hypnobirthing Australia program is evidence-based. So Dr. Kate Levitt back in 2016 performed a randomized control trial, and she randomized her participants to attend independent childbirth education classes such as Hypnobirthing Australia. That focuses on affirmations, breathing techniques, the support person's involvement, active birth skills, etc., and then randomized the other section to attend standard hospital childbirth education classes. And her research found that when mothers and support people attended the independent childbirth courses such as Hypnobirthing Australia, they were 65% less likely to require cesarean section, and 65% less likely to require an epidural, and 44% less likely to require cesarean section. So that's the evidence regarding the course. With regards to calm birthing, Hypnobirthing International, Hypnobirthing Australia, I think there's she births as well. The philosophy is pretty much the same about approaching birth in a calm, positive manner, but the course material that you receive is different. So I believe, and I did my research, I knew that I wanted to be an independent childbirth educator. I did my research, and Hypnobirthing Australia really stood out for me because the resources that my clients get is second to none. They get so much. So the course material is different, the tools are slightly different, maybe the language is slightly different. The MP3 tracks that they listen to in the Hypnobirthing Australia course is Australian accented, and it's a female as well, because some people don't like to listen to American accented things, or they don't like to have a male voice talking to them. And like I said, during the course, you're watching Australian birth videos, not mothers who are birthed in America. They're, you know, it's typical of what you see in class is pretty much what a hospital room is set up like in Australia.
Okay. Yeah, that's wonderful, Jemma. So let's go on to the next part, which is your top hypnobirthing tool and why. I'm so excited for this bit.
Well, okay, I'm wondering what you think I'm going to say, actually. My top tip is actually movement. So active birth skills. You probably like this as a yoga instructor as well, because active birth skills, getting up off of the bed. Again, we're conditioned to think, and also when you look at a birthing suite room, what's in the middle of the room? It's the bed. So you gravitate towards it, don't you? And you've seen it. Yeah, you do. You just think, all right, I'll make myself at home here, and you just lie on your back. But when you lie on your back on the bed, it hurts more. Because you're compressing all of your sacral nerves. So your surges, your contractions are a lot harder to get through. Sitting up, bouncing on a fit ball, or rocking and moving your hips, doing a little bit of a labor salsa, it's a distraction tool. So it's taking, instead of focusing on your uterine surges, your contractions, you're actually focusing on movement and using your body to work through it. You're opening up your pelvis. So I'll actually get you my pelvis here. Hopefully you can see it. So when you're lying back down, it's going a bit blurry, isn't it? When you're lying back down on the bed, the sacrum, can't move back. You can't really see, can you? Can't move back. But when you're standing up, leaning forward, the sacrum can actually move out. Okay. So you're really opening up that pelvis, allowing blood to circulate around as well. Babies don't like it when you're lying on your back too long, because you're stopping the blood flowing to the uterus, therefore to the placenta, therefore to the umbilical cord. And you're using gravity. I always say in class, if you've got a ketchup bottle and there's just a little bit of tomato sauce left, you're not going to bang it on the side like that with it lying down, are you? You're going to tip it up and you're going to bang it on the top. So we need to use gravity as well.
I love that. So that's wonderful. And we do talk about that in our prenatal yoga sessions, about movements and breath and movement and various different combinations. So that's lovely. Now coming to the last bit, Jemma, where can someone find you, or if they want to have some questions, chat to you, or know more about your classes?
Absolutely. So the best way is Google me, South East Hypnobirthing, or Hypnobirthing near me, and I'll probably I'll jump up on Google there. Website has so much information. There's a contact form on there, or if you actually prefer to talk to me over the phone, then we can do that as well. But my classes are based in Narre South, do face-to-face classes now, which is really exciting that's back on. I also offer a half private, half group classes. So one class, one day I can see you in your own home, and I travel everywhere. Last weekend I was down in St Kilda doing that, or the weekend before. And then joining me for the group session, because maybe a particular date doesn't work for you, or maybe you want to do the full private course just in the comfort of your own home. So I'll come to you for that as well. We do also have online options as well. So
I was going to ask that. If somebody is too far, do you still offer that option?
Yeah, absolutely. And I've taught people over in Perth, Hong Kong, who can't, obviously, it's too far to travel to come down to Narre South. So they do the online course. And if they purchase through my link on my website, or if I send it to them by email, then I can then offer them a 90-minute private session upgrade for a further $150, where we catch up via Zoom or Skype, or if you're local, I come to your house, and we talk about things that you just want to kind of touch up slightly. So you want to talk more about support person's involvement, or you want to really look at birth preferences or active birth skills, or all of that. Then we can really individualize that session to meet your needs.
That's wonderful. And you are also on Instagram and Facebook, I believe. So
oh yeah, of course. So Instagram, Facebook. Sometimes I'm really good at that. Sometimes I'm just a little bit not.
I think it's just the busyness. And I imagine you're a mom, midwife, childbirth educator, quite a busy life.
It is.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I believe that was the end of our discussion. Now let's go to the Q&A session, Jemma. So I had 2 people submit some questions to me, so maybe we'll start with those.
Yeah, sure.
One of our members actually asked that I'm going for C-section birth, and we briefly touched upon this in our chat, but if you have something to elaborate or some extra points for them. So they said, I'm going for C-section birth, and this person's previous birth was a normal vaginal birth, but for some reason they are going for C-section this time. So they asked this question, basically, how are these tools going to be helpful for me? Like, all the labor part is probably not relevant to me now. So if you have any extra points for them.
So what I would say is that the Hypnobirthing Australia, we actually have a positive cesarean section course. So you can do this online, and there's further tools and techniques that you can take in to your cesarean section. And I did explain during the session about that, but what I would say is having open and honest discussions with your care provider. So talking to your obstetrician about what your choices are, things like delayed cord clamping, skin to skin straight after baby is born, not having baby separated after birth, staying with mum. Could they dim the lights slightly? I mean, obviously the surgeon, the obstetrician can't do a Caesar in the dark, but they could maybe have subdued lighting on the outside. What about birth music? Is that a possibility? I can't say that would be, but that's why we need to have open and honest discussions and ask, is that available to me? If not, how can we adapt it slightly, and maybe even writing birth preferences for your particular cesarean section, because birth preferences are your communication tool. They're your communication tool. That's how you talk to your obstetrician, midwives.
Jemma, do you have a course for the positive C-section birth in your program? Like, do you run those courses as well, or is it something they can do online only?
It's online. Yes. So we do have some positive cesarean section practitioners. I haven't got there yet. It's on my to-do list. But I haven't quite got there yet. But we do have the online course.
Okay, that's wonderful to know. The next question that we had was, one of my members said that the birth videos are really scary, and she's a first-time mom. So what should I do, and how should I prepare? So she's really scared looking at some birth videos.
Okay. As in, like, what she will see in the Hypnobirthing Australia program, or just birth videos in general?
Birth videos has really scared her, and that fear is in her mind. So what can she do about it? And watching birth videos is recommended, but what's your recommendation? How can she not be scared?
It's making sure that you're going to the right places. So Hypnobirthing Australia have a YouTube channel, and they have birth videos on there. And they're calm, they're gentle. It's not the ones that you see on One Born Every Minute, for example. They're amazing to watch. Like, I get goosebumps from watching them. But watching those types of birth videos is good, but also surrounding yourself with positive birth stories. So on the Hypnobirthing Australia website, they have so many positive birth stories. And just surrounding yourself with positive birth podcasts. So Australian birth stories, the Midwife's Cauldron, the Birth Rebellion is a new one that's just come out. They're all Australian ones as well. I think that's really important to hear Aussie ones when you're birthing in Australia, and reading positive birth books as well. So surrounding yourself everywhere, positivity. And if someone wants to tell you a negative birth story, they talk to the hand because you're not listening to it. How mean is that people say negative birth stories to a pregnant lady?
Yeah, I know. Do you have any recommendations on any books, Jemma? You did mention podcasts and things. Do you have any top books that one can read in this space?
Yes. So Gentle Birth, Gentle Mothering by Dr. Sarah J. Buckley. Again, she's an Australian GP. There's a book by Dr. Rachel Reed, and I always forget the title of it. Childbirth.
The Rite of Passage or something?
Yes. Well done. But it's an amazing title, but I can never get the words in the right. There's more to it than that. But you're on by Dr. Rachel Reed. Amazing. Ina May Gaskin. You can't go wrong with her book. Ina May Gaskin's Guide to Childbirth. And Millie Hill, Birth Like a Feminist. They would be my top books.
Wow, I love them. I've read the one by Rhea Dempsey.
Birth with Confidence.
Birth with Confidence.
Yeah. And she's a local as well. She's down in the Mornington Peninsula. So I quite enjoyed that. Awesome. Well, I think that's the end of our chat today. Thank you so much, Jemma, for coming along and sharing your knowledge. It was a wonderful session, and I really enjoyed it, and I'm pretty confident our listeners will enjoy it too. Hi ladies, I hope you enjoyed today's chat and got something really valuable out of it. If you would like to access all of our guest speaker videos with lots of bonus content and a huge library of pregnancy and postnatal yoga workouts, make sure you subscribe to our online membership by visiting www.mothersyoga.com. I can't wait to welcome you inside this beautiful online community. Until we meet next time, namaste.